Okay, gang. Today we have a little different brand for you. This is a blade by the Maxace company. They make some interesting EDC blades, different varieties, and they make some wild stuff too, like the Red Queen and those varieties. This is the Maxace Corvus K. And there is a Corvus, which is an over $300 knife in a high-end materials and so forth. This one's more in the budget range if you consider budget under 100. At the time, I think I picked this up for 80-ish. They're now down to 65 on White Mountain knives. However, at this moment, not in stock. And this is kind of an unusual variant. I decided to go with it. Why, I'm not sure. It's not a bad one, but it's an interesting mix of materials. We have a natural G10, also known as jade green or jade. It's kind of a translucent material with a green tint. Looks a little like jade. And got a gray camo blade. Normally, I don't like camos and stripes and so forth on blades. I know that ZT does some of that on some of their 300 series, 350 or so. Anyway, I got what I got. I'm not disappointed with it. Doesn't see a lot of pocket time, although it's a good, solid EDC knife. So first of all, it is a D2 blade, but they refer to it as Bohler K110, which is Swedish D2. Purportedly, it is a slightly better, purer form of D2, a little tougher. Again, knife steel's composition, I'm pushing that app because you can look up any knife steel and find out pretty much your heart's content about it. Composition, some background on it, recommendations, and so forth. Not sure who is responsible for that app, but it seems to be quite sound and is recommended by others. So, we have a lightweight flipper, with an embedded liner. It is solid G10 on one side, and it has the steel embedded liner on the other. Therefore, when you have this makeup, you seldom see any weight relieving inside, because the weight relieving is achieved by having one whole side, one whole handle slab of the knife, solid G10, which is a very lightweight material. We've got a backspacer towards the rear, not a full one. Not sure if it's steel or aluminum. That's a good question. And I don't have my magnet nearby. So from the weight of it and not being very handle heavy, I am going to guess it's aluminum. Could be titanium. Neither one is going to be magnetic. And we have a clip here which is not really deep carry and not my favorite looking kind of a clip. But we've got kind of a gray-blue anodizing going on that and the backspacer. I would call it a drop point. Interesting, almost headed towards spear point, or even not really Warncliffe. We'll call it a drop point for now, with a recess for the thumb. The blade has no tang, if you will, in the back. This area is completely empty, and you can see down inside of it. It is running on bearings, and while not drop shutty, it has a great action. Hangs up a little on the detent, but once you can get it past that, it'll drop. Let's look at some specs. Overall length, it's a longish knife, of 8 3/4. Got a blade, long one, of 3 3/4, coming up on really 3 7/8, thereabouts. Got a 3 3/4 inch sharpened edge. And blade thickness, 4 millimeters, 4.1. Handle thickness, fairly thin, well, half an inch, 0.51. And what do we got for a weight? You have a weight heavier than one would expect, but it is a long knife. So 4.45, we'll call it 4.5 ounces. That is surprising considering the construction and materials. And I'm going to be right back with a magnet. Oh, through the miracle of video editing, I'm back with my handy dandy little custom made magnet. You can make one of these if you take a rare earth magnet and epoxy it to the end of a salvaged piece of nylon rod. Yep, blade's magnetic. Who would have thought? And that's interesting. I don't think that's magnetic. So where the weight's coming from, I'm not sure. I'm going to get pulled over to that screw there. See if I can get it from here. Well, I'm still getting pulled by the screws, which are steel. Pivot steel. Can't really get a clean read. Well, yes, I can. So, feeling a little bit of the liner under there. But this material is non-magnetic. Therefore, either aluminum or possibly titanium. The clip, we have the magnet out. Non-magnetic. So where that 4.5 ounces is coming from, although it's not really heavy, I expected it to be lighter than that. But again, we've got a knife that's long, that's almost 9 inches. So we could say that it's close to the ounce per inch rule of thumb. Let's take another look at it. So we've got a blue anodized pivot surround. Got the Maxace logo on the other side in white lettering on a nice blue color. It's fairly boldly branded with the model and the steel. Nothing on the other side, on the show side, so that's kind of nice. Got 2 screws showing on the show side, both of which are anodized and they're steel. Got a nice big old lanyard hole, which goes straight through the back spacer. And again, the clip, while it's fairly deep, isn't really a folded over clip that's going to go all the way to the butt. But it's going to hide most of the knife in the pocket. Got the camo on the blade. You're either going to love it or hate it. Got a nice wedge in here that follows the thumb indent, if you will. Pretty good stock to the blade all the way out to the point. Got a fine enough point without it being crazy thin. Still, I wouldn't call it a prying implement. But yeah, that is the Maxace Corvus K. Let's put it up against some of the usual favorites. Rat 1. Pretty much the equivalent of the Rat 1 for length, with a little higher handle area. So with that steel liner under one side of the knife, running that height, that might be adding a few ounces or fractions of ounces. Here's the Freak. Freak is a smaller knife in the blade for sure. It's about the same length in the handle, however. And Griptilian, pivot to pivot. We have about a 3/4 inch longer blade. Is it really? Maybe half, I don't know. And handle pretty much the same length, but again, kind of a higher, larger feeling handle. Yeah, the ergos are good. You are sort of forced to put your fingers in the grooves, 1, 2, and the last 2 riding in their own. Feels comfy in my hand. Place for my thumb if I want to get way up. Kind of a platform for the finger in the front. You don't want to jam it up in there. You're going to hit that point at the sharpening choil termination. Comes through reasonably sharp. Let's see. Yep. Not bad at all. No hang-ups, no rough edges. So the Maxace Corvus K is a solid option for EDC. Might not be one that you had considered or even a brand that you've known before, but there it is. Hope you like this. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. This Old Sword signing out once again.